Hello there, Dr. Durland here, and I'm just doing our Beautifill thing a little bit obviously by myself at the end of the day because we can't really have those gatherings right now, but it doesn't mean we don't want the information and to understand. So right now what I'm talking about specifically for the next just little bit of time is the Beautifill procedure. And so the Beautifill procedure uses this amazing little machine here. Hopefully you can see it. And this top part, I kind of feel like I'm on a game show or something, but the top part of it here is the actual laser component. And then the bottom part here is there's a suction component, and it sucks the fat over in this little canister. I can't see that, but the canister on the side here where my hand is. And then the tumescent, which injects the fluid, that helps with the fluid, goes on this pole. So, and then there's this other little filter thing that goes right here that actually holds the fat, and it filters the fat. So what makes this machine and these newer machines different than other machines is because this can be used for autologous fat transfer. So what the heck does autologous mean? It means it's from yourself. And we use fat, we can transfer it to different areas. So historically, when people used to do liposuction and then inject the fat, when fat is exposed to air, it has a tendency to not live very good. And so they figured out that if they have an all-enclosed unit, meaning we remove it from the patient, it gets processed, and then we re-inject it, in that way, then actually the fat lives better. Because wouldn't it be amazing if you can actually take your fat and use it take it from where you don't want it and put it where you do. So they've really kind of worked on perfecting this, and they figured out with machines like these that that's actually something that can happen. So if you look at articles and things and studies and pictures and experiences of people who have done autologous fat transfer, the question becomes, what machines do they use, and are they the newer machines that they're able to be free from the air. So I know, again, right now there's so many things that are going on in the world, and so I'm just trying to educate people about this. I know there's lots of things such as our safety of our homes and our families that we're worried about, but it doesn't mean that we can't understand this procedure better. So back to the procedure. Okay, so then what we do actually is when you do in-office liposuction, you actually put local numbing medicine in with a fluid, and you hang it here, and we inject it first. So at first what we do is we'll have patients come in and we take pictures. We choose where we're going to put the area, where we're going to move it to, and where we're going to remove it from. And sign their consent forms and things like that. And then the day of the procedure, they'll come in, might take pictures again. We answer any questions, and then you lay down. And when you lay down, what I'm doing is I make little marks where I know I'm going to make my entry points, and I inject a little local numbing medicine, and make a little incision, and then through that I put a little cannula that has holes, and the cannula might be about half the size of my finger in diameter, and it has little holes out the side, kind of like a garden hose that waters in your garden. And through that, it's pushing out this fluid, and the fluid has local numbing medicine as well as epinephrine. Well, epinephrine is a vasoconstrictive agent, and that just means that you don't bleed when you do that. And so when you think of your abdominal wall, you've got your muscles, and then you've got your fat, and then you've got your skin. And that fat area, I also equate this to like an Oreo cookie. So it's the fluid and the local numbing medicine mixture is just spreading out in the white part of that Oreo cookie. So as that happens, it's not going in your body, it's not coming out your skin, it's just staying right in that middle layer. Well, the cool part about that is once you put that in and you give people a little bit of time, you'll squirt it in one side and then go to the other and squirt it on the other side. And then what you can do after you wait a little bit is you go in with your liposuction laser, which is, again, even smaller than the cannula kind of that I'm putting the fluid in. And when I've watched liposuction on TV, not TV, well, like YouTube, my computer, whatever, sometimes it looks really violent in a way. But when you use a laser, it's really just kind of moves kind of like more like a violin, because that laser kind of helps process the fat and make it easier to suck through the cannula. So what we're doing is literally the patient's laying there, they're awake, we're talking, we're like, hey, how was your day? What's going on? And common things that people say to me is just like, they'll say, oh, that just feels a little weird, or comments like that, but we work through it, and you can watch the fat just suck out of you, and it's really kind of cool because you are like, wow, I can't believe that's just happening to me. So with one hand, I'm kind of going like this, just real gently, just kind of like with a violin. And with my other hand, I'm constantly like squeezing to get an idea of where the fat pockets are. And then when we're all said and done, what we do, now your tummy may still be a little swollen, and you have some fluid that's there that'll leak out over the next couple of days, and that's super normal. We just put some steri strips, which are little pieces of clear tape, if you will, over those incisions that can drain a little bit. People may have a little drainage, people may have a little bit more drainage, it just depends. And then you put an abdominal binder or a really tight binder around the stomach just to kind of hold glue it together for a couple weeks. We do have you limit your activity, not that you couldn't go to work or do stuff, but just you don't want to go to kickboxing class or do a lot of strenuous activity, because sometimes it just makes that Oreo cookie not like glue is great together. We want that great glue. And so then after we're done cleaning up the abdomen, putting that abdominal binder on, then we go after if the patient wanted it injected into another area. So what areas would we inject? So a lot of times we'll inject the breast, and the really amazing part about that is that, my ultimate thought and where this can be used is to help people who may have had breast implants that maybe had to have them taken out, and maybe you can help them give a little volume back. Maybe for people that want a little volume that don't want to do breast implants, would help them in that regard. I'm not going to sit here and say by doing this you're going to look like you have breast implants, because those breast implants are like super tight in this thing, and they're going to have a different appearance in this. This is much more like your body looks. And so what you do is you can't put a whole bunch of fat in at once. So you can only go up a cup size at once, because what happens is if you put too much fat in, it doesn't get really good blood flow. And so we just be really mindful that we're layering it in little waves, and that if we put it back into your breast, we don't have you wear a tight fitting bra, you wear more a nursing bra for a little while, because you want to give that fat space. You want to give it room to have that blood flow come in. So you don't want to like lay flat on your chest for a little while, and you don't want to wear a really tight fitting bra. And so but it's actually pretty straightforward. You make a little incision right underneath the breast, and then you could put some of that numbing fluid up underneath, and then you just lay the fat down, and people tolerate it really well. And the cool part about doing it locally is you're not going to go somewhere you don't want. Like, I'm not going to put it in your lungs, and I'm not going to like poke out your skin. I'm not going to do anything, because I'm limited by that space that we're in. So the fact that we're talking and we're there and it's comfortable helps keep you safe. So and again, it's super well tolerated. And so afterwards you look and you'll be able to see that it just gets fuller, because usually we lay it up in outer breast, like right in here. So we're layering it like this. So when you put your bra on and things, you definitely see that you have more breast tissue. And where you're at about 3 months after the procedure is literally where we think you should stay. So the benefit from these procedures, again, is that the fat that we graft usually really remains. So that's really exciting to know. The other area of the body where we inject it is the face. And so when you inject it in the face, a lot of times what I'll do is I first put, like if we have a jowl. So a jowl is where your fat pad hangs down a little bit. So what I do actually is I inject some behind and in front, and it reestablishes that jawline. And then in the cheeks, a lot of times what happens is this fat pad here starts drifting downwards. So like you can see here, it's starting to happen to me. So I got my fat pad here, and as this fat pad rotates down, I get more of a nasolabial line, and so then I get a little line here. So if I put a little bit of fat like right in here, what it does is it like makes my cheeks, I'm gonna do this, sorry, I only got 2 hands. So it makes my cheeks get a little bit more like this, which kind of makes my nasolabial line a little less and just fills this in. So it's a real nice appearance. And the nice thing about injecting fat in your face as opposed to filler is a beautiful thing, but the fat stays. So then you don't have to keep putting filler in your face, which is a really nice option too. And it's actually much more affordable long term than doing filler over and over and over again. So you can put the fat in your face in different areas. It just depends on where we have those needs. And so it's really tolerated well as well. I've done that several times and we've had really great results. So it's just kind of fun to know. So then what happens, I also like to kind of review with us, just as we have time to think about our bodies at this point in time, is how our body puts on body fat. So know that we're all genetically engineered beautifully and differently. And not everyone puts body fat on the same way. And so body fat isn't about that particular area of your body. It's more a store. So if I get more fat on my arms, it's not that I really need to do more push-ups or more bench presses, whether like bicep curls, to make the fat go away. I need the metabolic process to improve, and that will make my fat go away. Me working a muscle group out is simply going to make that muscle more defined. And in increasing my muscle mass, I'm going to increase my basal metabolic rate. Because when you look at the burning parts of our body, our muscle burns calories, fat stores. So I directly want my muscle to be optimized, and I want my eating to be good and my movement to be good, so I have a good balance, so I can maintain muscle mass and drive down body fat. Now, we all know some of us have body fat in certain areas and others of us don't. We're all beautifully made. You just have to love your body for what it is. But in general, the first place for you to put on body fat is the last place for you to lose. So the fact that we get a lot of body fat as women around our abdomens and on our flanks doesn't mean we need to do more sit-ups. It means we actually need to correct the metabolic process at hand. And plus, if you're putting on fat, I also know that people feel tired, they're not sleeping as good, and that really doesn't have to do anything with the fat itself. It has to do with the process that's leading that fat to go on. So I think it's really empowering for people too to have these times in their life that may be a little stressful, and maybe their body put body fat on and they feel like that fat is a reminder of where they've been, or maybe they've struggled with that sense of themselves, to know that nope, fat is beautiful and fat is the best filler, and there are options of things that you can do where you can take your beautiful body and the beautiful things it's given to you and move it to the areas that you want. So the other thing too I show people is my 5 pounds of fat, right? That is a lot. So even though it's only 5 pounds, that makes a huge difference for people. So we all put body fat on different ways and different places. And so what this machine does is it just helps me be more focal about what I'm removing, and I can inject it into those other areas that people would like. So what an empowering phenomenon, and how cool it is that we've got all this cool technology and things that we can use, and that we can do this in the office, and literally you can walk in, do it, and walk out. So the last time we did it, the gal went out and ate dinner that night, and I'm just saying, wow, she's a rock star, because a lot of people might not do that, but she did. And so just to let you know that it's not near as invasive and painful as I think a lot of us may have a perception of, and it's much more manageable. And then the other thing too is this is part of a process. I love using this machine as part of a process with people, because if they want to, you can do this different times to your body. Like, it's not like you're going to suck all your fat out and do it once to your breast and be like, woo! I mean, maybe some people may be that way, but a lot of times it's part of a process of changing and understanding what your body's up to, how you think, how you move, and this is just part of that journey, and how empowering it is. So that's what I wanted to say about the Beautifill. Feel free to write in, email in, have any questions that you have about the procedure, what we do, the different areas. And I also was talking today earlier about how I think it's great at this point in time to focus on how we can think about the future in a positive way, because right now there's just so much fear going on, that if we can even just be aware of the things that we can do with our beautiful bodies and know that someday we might be able to do them, I think that's very empowering. So if you ever wanted to just have a consult where I FaceTime you live, or I talk to you on the phone, or we're looking at pictures, I'm so thankful and willing to do that too, just so that you feel more empowered and understanding about what that process would look like for you, because I think sometimes that can make people smile. So I hope you guys have had a great day, and we just continue to navigate this crazy world one day at a time, because that's literally all we can do. And thanks for tuning in. I'm sorry I did it on my cell phone, but I am very technologically challenged, and gosh, love it, I could not figure out my iPad. So have a great night.